All right. Well, hello everyone. Um, Real quick, with hat or without hat? I don't know. I'm gonna go with. Tell me in the comments, with or without hat. Anyway, I'm back. I'm gonna do another little video. It's pretty cathartic, and I've done sports videos before, and it's pretty fun. But this video, by the way, is sponsored by NowSendIt.com. Bada bing, bada boom. So it's a great site. Just check it out. NowSendIt.com. NOW. Well, you know how to spell. NowSendIt.com. Okay. So this video is gonna be not so much alien focused, but more like. Well, is that why it's foggy? Is that a little better? Oh, way better. Hold on. Okay, there we go. All right. Your computer is not malfunctioning. It's me cleaning the lens here. Oh, that's way better. Oh, living in the 80s. Okay, so this video I want to talk about my startup journey and my product development journey. So as I mentioned in another video, teenage life wasn't the funnest, and I come from a small island, and at the start of so in 1992, a big hurricane came through here, leveled everything. After everything got rebuilt, no jobs, and I was 13 then, and then so over the next 5 years, all the only jobs were construction jobs, which I helped as a laborer. I was 14, 15 then. Anyway, after all that stopped, tourism hadn't come back, and there was nothing going on this island. It was really just nothing going on. And for a like 18, 19-year-old at that time, I there was just nothing for me. I was working as a busboy then, and the tips weren't good. Tourists weren't really showing up. Anyway, and that's the age where you start drinking, and you kind of, that's the beginning of your life, and it's like, all right, enough of this drinking and just hanging out. I gotta go do something. So, so again, this video is about my startup and product development journey, which is an interesting one. You might be interested to hear. So I decided to join the Navy, and I knew I was gonna join for a while, and I joined to become a Navy SEAL. And because I was very athletic growing up, very athletic, fast, great swimmer, great in the ocean, fishing, diving, all that, which you can't help when you grow up on an island. Good at sports. All sports just came easy to me. So I thought I would be a shoo-in. So I joined, and that was a little journey. And so I got through boot camp, and the whole time in boot camp, I'm like asking my RDC, which is what we call our instructors, our boot camp instructors, like, hey, I'm here to be a SEAL, and they're like, yeah, sure. At the end of boot camp, and so, long story short, it didn't materialize out of boot camp, because usually when you want to be one, you go, right after boot camp, they send you to BUDS training. So I got lost in the shuffle somehow. I was like, well, fuck. And so they sent me. So then I went, and then they assured me, oh, your next command will take care of it. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I went to Florida, went to my A school, where I was gonna be an ordnance guy, loading bombs onto airplanes on the aircraft carrier. So when I got there, I said again, I joined to be a SEAL. Something got wrong. Something happened with my orders or something, but I'm here. But I just want to let you know. And they were like, oh, when you get to your next command, they're gonna take care of that. This is just a school. They'll take care of that. So I was like, okay, cool. So I got through the schooling. Sent me to Virginia, wonderful place, Norfolk, Virginia. Funny story. They flew me out to the aircraft carrier because I had to meet it. They're off the coast, whatever, a couple hundred miles. so I got to land on the aircraft carrier on a freaking plane. But so I got there, and so on and so forth, and they looked at me funny, like, oh, the billet, the job, so they call it billets, where um, the job, the opening that you're gonna attend to in the Navy at your job, it's a billet, and the billet was for female. So everyone looked at me like, uh, and I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, nothing. Yeah, this job was for a female. The billet was for female, and I'm like, oh, well. And then I told them like, yo, I'm not supposed to be here. I was supposed to go to Buds right after boot camp. And they're like, oh, yeah, we'll take care of it. And so I ended up being stuck in Virginia on this freaking ship. Did a tour, everything, which is fine, whatever. I'm here to serve. Go Navy. And so it just was like a bad experience from the start. Messed up my orders, got it mixed up somehow, just weirdly. But I made the best of it. There's stories within stories, but even though I wasn't in the ordnance division, I was in weapons department working with the gunners mates. So during testing time, I had to learn the ordnance stuff, and the in addition to where I work, and then I still scored over 95, and I was going too fast. So so I just did my thing, and the whole time I'm like, all right, just like send me like. And so finally, they recommended that I go because I did really good on the testing, and they're like, okay, yeah, we got to get you to Buds. Anyway, so I go to Buds, and I was there for 6 months and did all kinds of things. But this video is about startup journey. I was in class 244, by the way, for any other guys out there, which I haven't run into any of you guys. So while in San Diego, and the reason why I joined the Navy too is because I wanted to have the paper record. Like, I was in the Navy, I did really well, so that when I came back home to Hawaii, I could get a good job, or anywhere, right? Like, look, I was in the Navy, I did great, like, hire me. So that was my thinking, and I knew I was gonna just do my 4 or 5 years. I'd had to do an extra on top of the 4, another year and a half, because you go to a schooling. Then they have to add on time because that's considered you're being in school and you're not actually active duty serving the country, you're learning. So fine, so I did 5.5 years. But while in San Diego, after work, we'd work 6 hours a day, sometimes more, but roughly 6 hours a day. I'd get off at 2:30. I'd hop on the bus, and my routine was like movies and just bookstore or whatever. But while there, this when I was in San Diego. This was about, so I joined in 2000, January 2000. 9/11 happened, and that's probably why they couldn't send me to Buds right away, because I was out in theater. But anyway, so this was like early 2002 when I was in San Diego, and basically, and while there, the internet, of course, was becoming something. It was, either the .com bubble was about to happen or it just happened. But anyway, I had this sense of like, ooh, what the world really needs is this site, right? So, and the site was, I had a thought of, it was Twitter essentially, and of course Twitter wasn't started then, but I made it like it was gonna be a ATS, anti-terrorist network, because it was all the hoopla after 9/11, and so what I wanted to do was create something where people can like type in like, I saw this, I saw that, and these guys look suspicious, and kind of take advantage of that, like just the like terrorism everywhere. And so I was like, okay, I really believed in this idea, and the whole thing, like limiting it to like, you can only 90 characters or whatever, just so it's short, to the point, and you could have like a quick comment section, essentially Twitter. And I was like, okay, so I started just like calling in the phone book random, like just, I didn't even know who to call, but just like, okay, investment, and sometimes it'd be like, I'm just an investment banker or whatever. Like, no, you need a venture capitalist. And so I kind of learned that way, and I was 22 at the time. Anyway, So I'm just going, and I'd go up to people's offices, and they'd be like interested, like, oh, okay, well, what you need to do, and they try to tell me what I need to do, and I'd just be like, be so frustrating because no one would listen and hear like this is a freaking great idea, like. And back then I didn't know how to code or program, but I just knew what I wanted to see, and I think this would be really good. The whole ATS, anti-terrorism network, ATN. And so that went on, and nothing ever came from it. I got a lot of funny looks, but so that was kind of my first foray into like really, like just following my passion and belief, and so I've always been doing that. And so, um, I'd always be creative and try things. And then so I got out of the Navy, um, went to Vegas for 3 4 months, then flew back home. So this was August 2005, back home to Hawaii, and started working. And so right away I started thinking and like, oh, what can I create, or I need to contact people, and I started kind of getting in that spirit of entrepreneurship. And so one of the first things I was like, all right, I had this idea. The smartphones were kind of starting to come out. This was before the iPhone, but that form factor. And I was like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if like it could communicate with another phone and do it with infrasound technology, like send out a ping, and then if it receives one, and I was like, oh, this is really good, all the things you could do with that. So I wrote to Intel, because I didn't know who to write to. And where I'm from, there's no one's into that. No one cares. Everyone's like just here to wait tables and whatever, pound nails together, which is great. But so I wrote to Intel, and I wrote this long thing, and of course no response. And so anyway, this sort of continued, and so at some point, of course, I'd see Twitter come on, be like, and I'm sure everyone's had that kind of feeling, but with me, it happens a lot. And so it's like, okay, I gotta like formalize and way focus, because like I have good ideas, and so this is when I started learning how to program. Took a class on the other side of the island, um, read, and I fucking hated it. I was like, this sucks. I mean, but I learned enough to know how it works, and so right about 2006 or 7, I started applying to accelerators. Just me, and I'd hope for the best. And my reasoning was like, wow, these accelerators. There's like 100. There's 100 people in this cohort, 100 people in another accelerator. It's like, wow, my odds are pretty good. And if I just write it well and just express myself well, I probably might get in. Of course not. Didn't get in. Kid from an island, no college, just Navy experience. No matter how passionate, they will slide that thing right off their desk, your app or whatever. So I just continued. I was like, all right, so it's not just me. I need an MVP. So with my own money and just like on and on, started MVP. But that came later. But in the interim, I started getting into like products, like actual physical products, consumer products, and I went through a lot. And same thing. I'd email, like I'd be online all the time. Email like, I have this product and da da da, and never an answer. Just never an answer. And I'd be like, damn, this sucks. And I joined all the programs, like P&G would have like an inventors program, and which is all bullshit. They don't really pay attention to that. But along the way, I did invent something that I was really passionate about, and which eventually did get made. But this product I called, it's called now the Aero Glove. You can go Google it right now. And basically, it's a glove donning system where you just swoop your hand in, and then with a puff of air, it opens the glove, it captures your hand, and then you have a glove. So for food service, Subway, whatever, buffets, it'd be like easy. Hospitals. So I did a prototype. Made it on YouTube. If anyone want to see it, I can send you the link. But mine was manual, so it wasn't battery operated for the puff of air. But same thing, there's like a little pad here, and I made it work. It worked, and it was a prototype. And you press down, and a puff of air shoots in the glove, and you go. So it was like that, then like that for the other hand. And I was so stoked on this product, and I emailed like over and over, and I was like, should I do NDAs? And it's like this whole process, and no one ever responds, no one. And I tried manufacturers, I tried um, brands, I tried hospitals, like like, does anyone see the value in this? And little side note, if I change, like I have an ethnic name, Hawaiian name, if I change it to the English version of my name, I would get an occasional email back, like one or two. But over time, I've sent thousands of emails out, and it's like, okay, this is not working, and it sucked. It's frustrating, and now and somehow along the way, someone picked up the idea and turned it into a real product. And of course, I'm shit out of luck, and it's like, oh, so this kind of thing usually happens enough, and you just get it fucking pisses you off. So again, back at it, had to retool, and so I was like, all right, so product design, getting a product to market, physical product hard. All right, let me try the tech angle. So I created a product, I built it, I paid somebody to help me, and it was an MVP. It worked, and it was nothing fancy, but all the essentials were there. And I was like, okay, so I applied by myself to accelerators. Look, I got an MVP, fund me, and nothing. So I was like, fuck. So now, and like they say, like they'll fund a solo founder, but that's like the rare exception if you're making money, which is fine, whatever. So I was like, all right, I gotta find a co-founder. So over the course of I went through two of them. The first one was from here, and then the second one was a freaking awesome one. Senior Facebook back-end data engineer. I was like, touchdown. And so I was like, okay, he's my co-founder. I've got the startup. I've got the MVP. Now I can start applying to accelerators and cold emailing investors. This was 2018, 2019. So sometime after I started this whole entrepreneurship and the thousands of emails, the different products, I tried emailing people, manufacturers, different iterations on, tech things, tech products, web apps, so on and so forth. And so it was clear, like, I needed a co-founder, a good one, an MVP, and that we're both ready to work. So we had all that. So I applied to Y Combinator was one of them, Techstars was the other, and no response there. 500 startups, no response. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So frustrating. So I was like, there's a local accelerator here, which I applied to before, with the same idea. First co-founder, didn't work. They actually flew us. They actually told us to come to an interview in person. To the local accelerator here in Honolulu. We got there, they're like, oh, we thought you guys lived on Oahu. And we're like, no, we live on Kauai. Was that not clear? You guys, at least I thought, like, you guys don't freaking read? So I don't know how that got lost. But anyway, so we went there, did the interview. I thought it went okay. And then just the rest of the day, we played video games at Dave & Buster's and then caught a flight home same day. A fun day, but nothing happened. That co-founder later with his wife did a startup that did get accepted, so it's like, which is great for them. So anyway, so that didn't happen. So I was like, well, shit, do I got to get a better co-founder? I don't know what. Is it because I'm ethnic? If these things go through your head, do I not fit the prototype, MIT, whatever the scenario? And I was like, well, if that's the case, that's fucking sad. But they're a Hawaii accelerator just for people like me, supposedly on their site. born and raised, um, in the right industry, so on and so forth. Didn't work. So I got the new co-founder, and then I reapplied to this local startup, um, and so I had the interview over the phone, and at this time, it was it was summer of 2019, late summer of 2019, where I had the, and at this time, I was actually living in my freaking Jeep, my Cherokee, because I was trying to lessen my income so I would qualify for this housing unit. It's a hustle here in Hawaii. It's so expensive. It's so ridiculous. But anyway, so I was like, sweet. So I had the co-founder, the top flight co-founder. I was like, all right, this is it. This is gonna be the. So I went to where there's Wi-Fi, just so I could get up to speed on the economics of my industry I'm in. I'm on the phone, and you know, and there's because I picked a spot that was quiet. I walked away from my computer, but I could still see it. It was kind of like in a garden, no one around to talk on the phone, and chickens are crowing. It wasn't the greatest. But during that interview, because I'm well read and I happen to be good at this, I'm able to kind of sense what's coming down the pipe. And I literally told them, as clear as day, like when they asked, like, why do you want to come to our accelerator and get this funding? Like, why? I was like, I gave them like a good answer, and then I said, to be honest, to be really honest, there's gonna be an economic dip, a real bad economic dip, and it's probably from a pandemic. It's probably gonna happen where they shut everything down in March of next year, 2020, right? And I just said, I happen to read a lot, and this is what I think is going to happen. And our startup is going to be perfectly positioned to take advantage of this economic shutdown. And that was like the coup de grace for me. It's a little crazy, but I really felt that. And so you can ask them, you can Google and find out. But so I said that, and then so we went on the interview, and then the interview closed, and I was like, oh, did I blow it? Did I sound crazy? Did I not answer the question? You think all these things, but I felt in good spirits. I was like, all right, I think we're in there. And I emailed, I was like, I think it went good, but we didn't get in. So I was like, Jesus Christ. And then, of course, as I said, March 2020 shut down. I was like, oh wow. I mean, fucking, and part of me was like, I wanted one of them to call, because when in the interview it was like 4 or 5 of them. I wanted one of them to call and be like, dude, you fucking called it. Like, yeah, whatever, you're good. Like, you got a good sense of what's going on. Like, yeah, let's bring you in. When can you come in? I was hoping for that. Of course, nothing. But I was like, oh my God, you literally got to predict the future is not good enough to get into these things. It's like, what is going on? And then in the same vein, Y Combinator, the elite startup accelerator. So this is when I had hit as my co-founder. It was like, now's the time to freaking apply. Well, I got him willing to say, yeah, let's do this. And so applied to Y Combinator, and previously they have, so like back in 2015 when I applied just by myself, they have like this little section like, tell us something you discovered unique about whatever, or a hack or whatever. So in there I wrote, yeah, because you try everything. By this point I've applied like freaking like 8 times since 2012 probably, or 2011, 2010, I don't know. But you tried everything, so you're just like, fuck it, like, yeah, and I wrote, aliens are real, da da da. In about 5 years, blah blah blah, it's gonna become clear, and that was my sense again. and then of course, as for my other videos, I'm always paying attention and everything. Um, and then applied a couple years ago, and I outlined in that same section where like tell us something unique you researched and discovered, whatever that it says. So in that box, in that input box, I answered like, look, I fucking figured out this fucking time matrix thing, and I think that I'm able to predict that in 2025 there's going to be another interstellar object, da da da, something along those lines. I can't be explicit because I got to be vague. So again, it was like, what do I have to lose? They keep saying no, and that was the last time I applied with my co-founder for a different startup. It was like, well, maybe the idea sucks. So we applied with a different idea, one that helps humanity more, and it's still fucking zero zilch butt kiss. So, so that's that kind of grind has been my life since 2005. Like entrepreneur grinding, and really nothing's come of it, which is crazy because I've been at this for like a good 20 years now, and like nothing's come of it. Not even like a good contact, other than my co-founder. It's amazing, but like no like industry contact really. Like no one says like, hey, like you're on the right track. Like just keep giving me when you got something, give it to me. Like none of that. And so like fuck, I'm like on a treadmill, just like for what? And again with Y Combinator, like dude, like what more do I have to fucking do to like I'm literally predicting interstellar fucking objects coming into our solar system, and I have it archived on X and on my LinkedIn, and it's fucking crazy. And it's like, no thanks. You predict the fucking future, aliens, no thanks. We don't want you here. And like it's frustrating. And the people that they do like are like, if you went to college, especially like an Ivy League, and you know how to tie your shoelaces, and you're under 23, yes, no questions asked. And it's like, all right, what more do I have to do? So it's like this. It's funny to me at this point, like, with how this is played out, and in a small way, like, they receive my application received, we see you. It's like, okay, cool, and I have to process it like that to fucking, like, soothe myself, because this has been 20 years of this shit, and, anyway, I left out quite a bit of like shit stories, but that's you kind of get the gist of it there. And like, so I was able to build my own startup because of AI, and it's easy for me now. And so it's like, I don't want to freaking call my co-founder and be like, you want to try again? Because I'm sure he realizes like it's all bullshit, and they want a certain person there, and all the fluff that these companies say about creatives and like equal opportunity, it's all fucking bullshit. They want people like them that remind them of themselves, and it's just a whole fucking bullshit. But anyway, and I went through, and I was like, no, I don't want to apply, because it's like I'm getting to the point where you're not there. You're not. These people aren't there. They're just, I don't know. But okay, so you get the gist of my story there. It's been 20 years, and it's fucking frustrating. And you can't, you gotta be calm in public, and like, and like where I'm at, like no one does what I do, or like that kind of thing, that kind of like moonshots or whatever. And so you just kind of, but, and I keep wanting to move, but like that's a whole thing too, like to be at the Silicon Valley and meet more people, And that's a whole thing too. Like if I move there, then what do I ever get to come back here? Which is like I kind of fight for here to be able to establish myself here, and then what pick up and it's like I'm freaking in my 40s, not married, no kids, because I have this desire to create something, and it's like kind of gnarly at this point. Like something's got to give. But so that's the gist of it. I'm gonna label this really the title of the video like really um, putting those accelerators in a negative light, because really like what more do I have to do? Like I'm game. Like everything you wanted, except I'm not a freaking Ivy League graduate. But anyway, I've gone on and on. Okay, so thanks. This was cathartic. And I'll be back again to bitch about more things and tell you about interstellar objects that are actually visiting, and they are from extraterrestrial intelligence. See my other videos to find out the other videos. All right, peace out. See you in maybe 2 hours or 2 weeks or 2 months. Bye bye.